Hi there, I'm Richard from Burning Spears. Welcome to my channel. It's a cold day in England today, so I'm going to be making a whiskey and apple sauce to put on some pork that I'll be cooking later. Whiskey, being alcohol, is something I really enjoy. Apple sauce and pork is something I also enjoy. So why not combine the two? So I'm going to be showing you my way of making it work. Stick around. I think there's some nice little tips and tricks that I use, and it's not a stereotypical recipe. I cook with a lot of intuition, and once you have done it a few times, then you can pivot should you need to, should something be a little bit different or whatever. So I'll be showing you all of the steps to making this fantastic apple and whiskey sauce. So if I talk about the ingredients, we have typical seasoning: salt, kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper. Then with apples, you want a blend of sour apples, sweet apples, and you want a difference in textures as well. So how I've obtained that is I'm fortunate enough in the UK to have a large variety of apples all year round. We really are blessed here with this being the home of the apple, so to speak. So I've got 2 Granny Smiths. Excuse the size and quality of my fruit, but I am a supermarket shopper. So these are not the biggest Granny Smith apples you will have ever seen. You've probably seen tomatillos bigger than this, but it is what it is. So that's the sharp, the acidic, and the really firm, white, crispy texture taken care of. Then normally I'd have Pink Lady apples, but I've got Kanzies. Kanzies be nice, I'm sure they're going to be. These are a slightly more fluffy but sweet apple that's going to give that difference and that sweetness. Then a little old Braeburn, sad looking one, it's a little bit old, but this really is just to provide consistency in the sauce. It's not an amazing apple with regards to off the chart flavor or off the chart texture. It's kind of a sort of middle of the road one, but it'll have its purpose in there. You could just use one type of apple if that's all you can get, but generally mix it up a little bit and focus on the sharp, acidic, and the sweet. Then of course lemon. Lemon will provide the acid, a different type of acid to that. It'll provide acid to the base of the sauce, give it a bit of kick, a bit of life. And I'm going to use some of the rind in the sauce to provide a little bit of that lemony depth and fragrance. Not going to be a lot of lemon. It's not a lemon apple sauce. It's an apple and whiskey sauce. So this is just to provide a little bit of background. Not using sugar. Going to use honey. I hope I've got enough. And butter. Butter is essential. Unctuous richness that it'll provide is what you want. Then instead of water, I have cider. I've got a cup of cider there. Your favorite cider of choice. Whether or not I use the whole cup is to be seen. I probably will, and I want to boil it down as much flavor as I can get into the sauce, and then boil it down so that I've got that beautiful depth. That's what I want to achieve. So if something is a bit runny, then I'll just cook it down more until it comes to the consistency I desire. Whiskey. For me, I've got expensive tastes in whiskey, but what's the saying? Champagne tastes in gingerbread pockets. I can only really afford Famous Grouse. It's a good whiskey actually, slightly peaty, which I prefer. So I managed to leave a little bit for today. The problem is I'm not going to be able to have a drink and cook the sauce, so I'm in a little bit of a dilemma, but yes, I'll be putting whiskey in there. So that's the basis of the ingredients. I'll go through the prep and you'll see how easy it is. Okay, right, so you will notice that I use lemon juice on the outside of the peeled apples and then on the cubes of peeled apples. You probably already know this, but that's to stop them from browning. So that's a good tip, otherwise you're going to have like a browny apple sauce. There will be a certain element of brown in it anyway because of butter, whiskey, etc., but you don't want to start off with brown apples. Not that appetizing, even though it doesn't affect the flavor at all. So I'm just going to really quickly run through the cooking process so I don't bore you with too much talking while the pot's sizzling away. Basically, I'm going to put butter in the pan, get the apples in there, get them softened up, add a little bit of cider, get them softened up some more, work on that process, pop the lemon's zest in, and then once I'm semi-happy that they're half broken down to it, then I'm going to start tasting. I'm going to test for seasoning and acid and adjust with lemon juice, more cider, etc., etc. I want to get a pretty good idea of the taste that I'm going to hit halfway through the cooking down. Last stage will be whiskey to taste, and then you just give it enough time for that alcohol to cook in. Yes, alcohol does cook off when the liquid's boiling or even close to boiling. Alcohol is getting cooked off, so it's safe to use this and your kids can eat it because there's no alcohol in it. It's just the flavor, the whiskey flavor. Got to be careful. Those of you whiskey lovers, you would want to taste a lot of whiskey like I do, especially with my overspiced palate. But for a lot of people who don't like whiskey, you would probably add half or less as to what I'm gonna add, and just bring them along the journey slowly. You'll win them over if they've got half an idea about taste. So that's basically the process. A little bit of a mash if needed. Pepper to season, salt to season. Salt, I'm going to do the seasoning quite late. I've got a bit of salt in the butter, so I'm not going to put too much salt in because I really do not want the salt to overpower. You do need salt, like salted caramel, to bring that depth and to enhance flavors, but you just want to be careful, and I need to be careful about over salting. It's a big fault of mine. So yeah, let's get cooking. Right, so from what you've seen so far, I've got this to a stage where the vegetables are cooked. They're soft. They've still got a little bit of give because I don't want them to get soft all the way and turn into complete mush. There's still a bit of cooking to do. But the liquid, the cider is boiled off, and the inherent liquid in the apples almost out. So we're in a good place. We've got the base to work from now. So that's why I haven't done any seasoning, any addition. I want to see how much inherent sweetness we're going to have and how much inherent acid we're going to have, and then use everything to work with and balance that. So you really want to see what you're going to get from your main product first in this case, so that you don't overshoot the sweetness or the acid or whatever and make your life difficult and make this an unpleasant task, when this is supposed to be a task that's real nice, real fun, and will ensure that you make this more often than buying it. It's really, I must admit, in the UK, some of the Braeburn applesauce is really nice. They do some good stuff. So I'm going to mash this lightly, and then I'm going to add a little bit more cider vinegar to get that liquid and some of the aromatics. And then I'm going to start tasting. Put in a bit of honey taste, put in a bit of salt taste, and of course the pepper will go in. And then I'm going to just make sure that I'm edging back on that salt like I've mentioned. I might still put a bit more butter in at the end to give that unctuous silkiness through, so I would be adding a little bit more salt then. So that's my primary focus. But let's get back in the pot and get cracking. Okay, so from what you've seen, I've got this down to a very close consistency, very acidic due to the nature of the ingredients used. So I'm going to start my final seasoning. I'm going to add some water to tone it down a little bit, to thin out the sauce so it's a sauce as opposed to like a sort of apple puree or apple mash. I could have used more cider if it wasn't so acidic, but I've got that in there now. I'm not going to use any more honey. It's sweet enough, very sweet apples. I'll put my first pinch of salt in because I've tasted it already. 2 pinches. Then I'm going to be putting this, like I said, this butter in at the end. That's going to bring down cream, dairy, that sort of thing. Really flattens and mutes some flavors, takes the edges off. So I'm going to put some of that in, and of course it gives that nice silk to it. So let's get onto that. You saw me add a bit more cider in there, so we had about 1.25 cups. If I was you, I would start off with 8 tots of whiskey, 25 milliliters. But I'm going to start with 2. Again, and also your type of whiskey makes a difference, right? So quite strong, peaty. Something like Bell's is fairly level, not too exciting in my opinion. Something like Jameson is a lot smoother. Bushmills, you could put that in for people who don't like whiskey so much. A lot flatter, a lot smoother. So you could do that. You could do this with bourbon. Jack Daniels, Wild Turkey, whatever you want, you could stick it in there. Cheap whiskey, expensive whiskey, your choice. So that's 3 tots. The whiskey pulls down the sweetness, so I'm just going to up that with a little bit more honey. Right, so you've seen the whole process. Again, if you use a recipe, you've still got your own taste. The difference, the way things are cooked, the ingredients, the difference in the ingredients compared to what was used in the initial recipe are different. So you need to cook stuff according to taste, to your taste, for it to be pleasurable to you. And if you use a recipe as a base, that's a good start. Use your taste, your intuition, get it. So I was aiming for sweet and sour applesauce with a bit of a whiskey aftertaste in it. I've got that. It's nice and sour, nice and sweet, not overly salty. And I love salt, but I don't want that on there. It's not going to season the meat per se, like a lot of other sauces do. So I'm quite happy with the result there. What I'm going to do, because I'm a pig and a consenting adult, before serving, I'm going to probably stick quite a bit of that into it fresh, without boiling, so that I don't cook off the alcohol and I get a bit more pungent whiskey flavor in there. So it won't be as smooth as it is now, because I'm greedy and I want to taste whiskey. So that's what I'm going to do before serving. But I hope you find this fun and had as much fun as I did watching it as I did cooking it. It's a great thing to do. It's going to go so well with the pork. Keep an eye out for my Iberico pork rack video that this is going to feature on with some bubble and squeak. Can't wait to taste it. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and that's it.